you can't carry challenge and recklessness within the same pocket. Thanks so much for joining me for Chronicles in Collecting, where I'm going to take a look at the DX Chogokin YF-19 full set pack. The YF-19 is one of the main variable fighters, commonly referred to as Valkyries, from Macross Plus, a 4-episode original video animation that was released from 1994 to 1995 and was later compiled as a movie. This figure was released in 2018 and retailed for 25,000 yen, or about $220 US. The Macross figures from the DX Chogokin line typically are hard to get, and I picked this one up a few months ago for $375. This is the first figure I'm opening from this line, and I'm really curious to see how they do the various transformations, so let's get right to it. Macross Plus is considered to be one of, if not the best, Macross shows by kind of a lot of people, and if you look at who worked on it, it's kind of easy to see why. You got directed by Shinichiro Watanabe, who would go on to direct Cowboy Bebop. You have music by Yoko Kanno, who would go on to do the music for Cowboy Bebop. This was a mid-90s OVA, so the animation is just this like beautiful hand-drawn stuff. You don't get anything kind of like that anymore these days. So obviously, you go into it with sort of high expectations. I really did enjoy the show. I watched it at some point last year. It didn't feel a lot like Macross to me. It had some of the Macross staples. I mean, it had music, it had these, cool fighter jets or whatever, but if it wasn't for that like one scene where there's like a Macross like kind of in the background, I don't think that you could have really, I think you could have called it really anything and it would have fit. But like I said, still a great show, and I would definitely recommend checking it out. I don't think it's really readily available in the US right now, but there has been some licensing deals to finally bring Macross to the US, so hopefully we'll see one of those soon. The first figure that I'm looking at from this line, I really don't know all that much about it, except for the DX Chogokin is kind of where all the Macross figures do and go. And I think what's kind of unique for anybody here who's not familiar with Macross, what's unique about this show in particular and the mechs in it is that each of the mechs sort of have 3 modes. So first they have, and I'll kind of open up some of the accessories while we're talking about that. So they have kind of the fighter jet mode, which is what we just saw. Then they have kind of a more traditional, here just all the different hands. I'm probably not going to wind up opening every single one of those, and kind of like some little pilots that fit in there. Then you have a more traditional form, something that you might see, kind of out of Gundam or, kind of any robot show. And then finally you have what's called like the Gerwalk form or something like that. Kind of show some of these things off here while we're finishing up there. And that's sort of like halfway between the fighter jet and just like all these missiles and all this other stuff here. Halfway between like a mobile suit and a fighter jet. It's kind of like a Centaur or whatever, so it's like the top half is the fighter jet, but then it has legs. So yeah. All this stuff is really nice. The colors really pop. They're pretty basic shapes. There's not a lot of like detailing there, but you could see like just a lot of nice lines and everything like that. I get the feeling that transforming this is going to be a major pain, but we'll see. I have no idea what this thing is. I hope it's a missile, because it looks awesome, and I hope I could somehow incorporate it into whatever pose I use. But I think a lot of these missiles are for the kind of fighter. Kind of last but not least, you get a stand. Does not look like it's a customized stand, which, obviously not as great, but I was wondering if this came with the stand, because I was like, I don't know how I'm going to actually be able to pose this. And then it has these like awesome effects parts. I don't know what these are for, but I'm certainly going to try to just look at all the cool curves on these. These are awesome. The size and length of this is worrying me. It's 23 pages. So I think I might be here for a while. Anyway, I'm going to take a look at this and do some posing, and I'll be back in a few minutes, probably an hour. And we are back. So this is that interim kind of middle form I mentioned, like the Gerwalk form. So it's kind of got the head of the fighter jet, but the legs of a mech. Just kind of a few thoughts on putting this together. It took about an hour to do this, and there's still another transformation. I think I'm only on page, not even halfway through the booklet, so we'll see how the other half of it goes. I guess my suggestion at this point would basically be to mostly ignore the instruction booklet and just find a tutorial or take a look at the clips that I have, and there's some other YouTube videos, because the booklet is just not particularly helpful. There's just a lot of things, a lot of shimmying and jimmying that you got to do that's just really hard to express sort of in printed format. That being said, I'm just really impressed with just how amazing this figure is. There's just so many little things that click and pop out and go into place, and just all these little details where it's like you could pull down a thing to expose where the engine is, where it's in the flight mode. And but yeah, just really impressive figure, but really a pain to put together. Here we have the YF-19 in its mech form, the final form. This was actually, I had a lot of fun putting it together. It took quite a while, up to probably about 45 minutes, maybe even longer. But like I said, I just found a video of someone kind of putting it together, and it was very rewarding when I finally kind of got it all together. I'll point out a few things while we have it on the spinning stand. There's this, like, the armor is so cool. This right here, got it on the shoulder. The weapons are really cool. It's got this thing, and actually, they like open and close. You kind of move them back. It has an open mode and a closed form, which is really cool. It's got this like super Hadouken fist. I don't remember that from the show. I'm sure that it happened, but like I said, it's kind of been a while ago since I watched it. There's also a shield, which I had in the Gerwalk form, and this is a cool shield. Unfortunately, there's just not any more arms for it. Unfortunately, we weren't able to use all of the missiles that was for it in the kind of jet form, and I wasn't able to use that like super cool nuclear missile, but maybe I'll find some other use for it on my display shelf. All in all, I just absolutely love this figure. The detailing on it is awesome. The color is awesome. I just feel like it's a very unique looking figure. I love this kind of like center. I love this kind of like centerpiece. I just think that no other suit really looks like that. This is a pain, they have to set a few hours aside to transform it, but it's definitely worth it at the end, and I would highly recommend this figure, and I'm really looking forward to future DX Chogokin stuff from the other Macrosses. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I'd appreciate a like and a subscribe. If you did not like it, tell me about it in the comments. I do anime reviews every Monday and figure reviews every Wednesday. Please join me next week where we're going to take a look at the Robot Spirits Heavy Paint Specification Man 010G3. Thanks so much and keep collecting.